The negotiations had been going on for 72 hours straight, and James could see the exhaustion etched into every diplomat's face around the crystalline table. Every face except one. Queen Velshara of the Corinthian Empire sat perfectly still, her four eyes unblinking, her chitinous form reflecting the cold light of the space station's artificial sun. She had rejected every offering. The mineral rights to 3 asteroid belts, exclusive trade routes through the Orion Arm, technology that could extend her species' lifespan by centuries. Even a whole goddamn moon had been placed on the table like some cosmic bargaining chip, and to each offer, she had simply raised one taloned hand and said, "No." James stood in the observation deck above the negotiation chamber, his fists clenched against the railing. Ambassador Chun had sent him here to watch, to learn. "You're humanity's best xenolinguist," she told him. "Maybe you'll see something we're missing." But he saw nothing except humanity's desperation laid bare. The war had lasted 3 years. The Corinthians had torn through the outer colonies like a solar wind through gossamer. They possessed weapons that bent space itself, shields that drank energy like starving things. Humanity had fought with everything they had, clever tactics, stubborn courage, that peculiar human tendency to simply refuse to die, but, in the end, it hadn't been enough. Then, inexplicably, Velshara had called for a ceasefire. She would negotiate peace, she said. She wanted something from Earth, and if they gave it to her, the war would end. So humanity had gathered everything of value in their possession and come here, to Outpost Meridian, to buy their survival. "She's toying with us," muttered Commander Park. Standing beside James, playing some sick game, James shook his head slowly. "No, she's waiting for something specific. She knew what she wanted before she even arrived." Below, Ambassador Chun was making one final offer. Her voice, translated into the clicking, harmonic language of the Corinthians, filled the chamber. "Your Majesty, we offer you Earth's collective artistic and cultural database. 50,000 years of human creativity, music, literature, philosophy, the complete works of—" "No." The word fell like a hammer. Chun's shoulders slumped. James could see her hand trembling as she pressed it against the table. This was it. They had nothing left to offer. The war would resume, and humanity would be ground into cosmic dust. Velshara rose from her seat, her form towering over the human delegation. When she spoke, her voice carried a strange resonance that made the air itself vibrate. "I will accept only one thing," she said. "One thing, and the war ends. My fleets withdraw. Your species continues." Every human in the chamber leaned forward. "I want the human called James Nakamura." Time seemed to crystallize. James felt his blood turn to ice. Around him, security personnel turned to stare. Below, Ambassador Chun's face had gone pale. "Me?" James whispered. Commander Park's hand went to his sidearm. "This is a trap. Some kind of—" But James was already moving toward the lift, his mind racing. Why him? He was nobody. A linguist. A translator. He'd never even been in combat. He'd spent the war in universities and research stations, teaching machines to parse alien grammar, helping decode intercepted communications. Unless the lift doors opened directly into the negotiation chamber. James stepped out, and 20 sets of human eyes fixed on him with expressions ranging from confusion to horror. Velshara turned to face him, and for the first time, James saw something flicker across her alien features. Was it anticipation? "You," she said simply. "Your Majesty," James began, his throat dry. "I don't understand. Why me?" The Queen moved closer, her footsteps clicking against the floor. When she spoke, she switched from standard to her own language, not the formal diplomatic dialect, but something older, more complex. James's eyes widened. He understood it. Every word. "Do you know what your people translated incorrectly?" she asked. "In the very first message we sent?" James's mind raced back. 3 years ago? The first Corinthian contact. The message that humanity's A's had parsed as a territorial declaration. The message that had started the war. We did not say, "These stars belong to us," Velshara continued. "We said, these stars call to us, a challenge. An invitation. We have conquered 17 species, James Nakamura. Do you know what they all had in common?" James shook his head. "They begged. They cowered. They offered us everything." Her 4 eyes gleamed. "But your species? You fought. Against impossible odds with inferior weapons, you fought. And when you captured our ships, you didn't destroy them. You studied them, learned from them, adapted." She reached into her robes and withdrew a data crystal. "This contains every combat recording from the war. I have watched them all. And in 12% of successful human operations, the same name appears in the intercept logs. The voice translating our commands in real time, warning your ships of our tactics, turning our own language into your weapon." James felt the weight of understanding settle over him like a shroud. "You," Velshara said, "are the reason humanity survived long enough to negotiate. You are the reason this war cost us more ships than the previous 7 campaigns combined. You taught your species to hear us, and in doing so, to defeat us." She extended the crystal toward him. "The Corinthian Empire values strength above all. And you, James Nakamura, demonstrated the greatest strength of your species, the ability to understand your enemy better than they understand themselves. I offer you a position in my court. Teach my people as you taught yours. Bridge our worlds, and if I refuse?" James asked quietly. "Then the war continues, and eventually we will win. But we will never forget that humanity made us bleed." James looked back at Ambassador Chun, at the exhausted faces of his fellow humans. Then he looked at Velshara and saw not a monster, but a warrior who had finally found a worthy opponent. "I accept," he said. "On one condition." Velshara's mandibles clicked with what might have been amusement. "You establish an embassy on Earth. You learn about us as I learn about you. Real peace. Not just an absence of war." The Queen was silent for a long moment. Then she extended her hand in the human gesture James had taught the translation algorithms years ago. "Agreed." As James shook the taloned hand of the alien queen, he realized that humanity hadn't survived through treasure or technology. They'd survived because one human had bothered to truly listen, and sometimes that was enough.